course not. But we've got three. We've got Muzi, Psycho, and Pino. But they're going up against Los, who you might be thinking, all right, you know, we got Cameraman, he's been around the block, but the star player on this roster, the man of the hour on Los, is Maya. One of the top-rated players in this tournament so far, sometimes the win condition for Los in a given round. Did Maya pop off? If yes, we likely won the round. Yes. Exactly. But if he doesn't pop off, this roster has sometimes left a little to be desired. And on Bank, starting on defense, if Maya on this roam doesn't have success, there is not a lot from Los to say they've got a good shot.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, things could get a little risky here for both these squads, depending on how these rounds start to break down, especially with Los starting things out on defense. They are going to want to set a precedent as to how this game is going to go. I mean, if they can get 3 defensive rounds here, Carter, that speaks volumes to their future up against Ninjas in Pajamas.
But NIP are comfortable on this map. They know what to expect. They got one of the biggest wins of their tournament so far. 7-5 over Crush to stay alive and have another chance to even be in this series in the first place. This map has a bit of a checkered history for them in Atlanta, but it has a lot of emotion as the ban phase transpires, for the defense in particular. There's a lot of useful utility taken off the board that NIP will be happy about. The Fenryus, the Dread Mines, of course, they make pushing in through those doorways harder. But the Azami, not having to worry about those Kiba barriers on the roam in positions like open area.
Yes.
You might have the Mira still on the board, but without those Kibas, it all feels a little more manageable.
Yeah, it's a little bit more mainline Bank, right? What we're used to back in the day before we got some freeform utility and some Dread Mines that blind you when you walk through them. Now, I will say this, we will still have one of the crazier operators that we've had in recent defensive history out to play, and it's going to be Dots on Solus. We've been speaking ad nauseum about this, right? Especially when it comes to the prep phase drones and how easily Solus can be a huge detriment to their setup.
This is an operator that, if Los can make great use of on the defense, could really be a big problem for NIP. They are slow, and as VPs show, that doesn't mean you're bad or that you don't have chances. But NIP...
It could mean you're bad.
I mean, it could, but not in this case. But NIP, when they are slow, they often leave more gaps in their attacking setup than their European counterparts do. So if Dots is able to do sufficient damage to NIP's drone economy to force an already slow team to be going into a late execute with minimal intel, that will be a great start. But also at the same time, thankfully, you see NIP progressively over the course of the tournament bring that Dokkaebi, because when they started play-ins and they had those low drone counts, the absence of the Dokkaebi, it could be felt everywhere.
As you'd expect, we're going to be dedicating to the drones here first, especially with this top floor setup of Los. We'll let it breathe a bit, because they'll be able to find the Mozzie. Fantastic drone work here. You want to make sure to check all those crooks and crannies, especially on a map like Bank, because if one player goes unchecked, that could mean the whole offense is more than likely feeling their wrath. And you really don't want to lose that many bodies when it comes to the offensive side of Bank. You really want to be able to keep those guns up and maintain control over your setup, especially when it gets later into the round and you're looking to execute.
One particular player that NIP will want to make sure stays alive is Pino on that Buck. He is the guy to repel into CEO, and when they're attacking these first floor bomb sites, open up the ceiling of CEO and pressure anybody playing in Teller's Archives. Dots.
This is aggressive.
Able to rotate around into ATM. There are 2 different players on this rappel, but there's also one NIP attacker sitting outside the ATM doorway. That's Wizard on the Dokkaebi, fires a few DMR shots in. It's not too tight of an angle. They've still got someone watching. Pino reacts in time. Death from above to give NIP their first pick.
And that's the reason you don't really see anybody flirt with ATM, Carter, because teams will check things. Usually starts there. Dots will not go quietly into the night. More for Nip's sake. He actually will, really. Going down in that regard. But that's going to allow Nip control over these first 2 levels, making their job a little bit easier. They do still have 1 player over near open area, I do want to say. We do have Cameraman and potentially Dash, but he also might be down low in the elevator. We're actually going to have a couple here on the open area side, obviously. Dash faltering back. So he'll be holding down low. Some potentiality, or rather some potential that could come out from that Nitro cell there. as they do have that hatch open for him down low, but this is all going to have to be in good timing. That's the big issue right now, Carter. Los make good on their first promise as Loban will be able to find Pino. They do have some verticality to work with, but again, this timer's going to eat at them. They have to find a home, and most importantly, they have to find some kills.
Even with that opening pick onto Dots, so much time wasted before hopping in that top floor. NIP are moving in blind to this setup. Wizard downed and not finished off just yet, as it's Maya, the player of this match that everyone should be watching, who gets a big pick to force NIP back. Loban as well, a two-piece so far in round one. Muzi completely shut out, doesn't even find an impactless pick to finish off round one. Los able to win their first defense.
That was a beautiful round there from Los. The patience especially working out extremely well. They don't over-deliver there, and that's the key difference maker. There was a lot of moments where Nip had some pretty impactful angles, but there's nobody home from Los. In fact, their first big pickup comes via a nitro cell, and it completely stunts the growth of Ninjas in Pajamas. They don't really know where to go from there, Carter. They have to try and look towards greener pastures. It starts over inside of E2, but they even have that cut off as the Mosley is slowly rotating his way up marble stairs.
Big first round from Los, able to win. The open area bomb site, normally the second choice for some teams. They'll move down to lockers, the normal primary. But where off-site control is still just as important as it ever is on bank, even more so, some could say. Very often on this setup, there'll be a castle brought to make open area effectively a second floor of the bomb site, a bit of a renovation to help the defense push the attack back and stall time as they move in along with their clear. No castle, of course, from Los this time, but it's just to illustrate the point that when you're defending lockers, holding that middle floor is oh so important, and it will fall onto Loban and likely Dash as well, the two main roamers who can gather intel for the defense to keep NIP at bay.
Always a cheeky one from the top of square there. One that's been around for a really, really long time. Some even cheekier ones that you can get from the top square space too. Some people really like it to play things out over by that, you know, the right under the default camera, stuff like that, some nice angles, and it's all in consideration of that player coming up the ladder from spawn. It all starts early in this game, folks. There's a bajillion angles to learn, and there's always new ones to conquer. That's why a lot of people, when they're first learning Rainbow Six Siege, it's so frustrating, because it's like, what am I actually dying from?
There's so many cool things to learn. I mean, even Loban right there misses the first impact, but just hits the second on the border of that hatch, so it doesn't damage himself too much, but opens it up and allows him to retreat down into open area. Both him and Dash, the main two players on this roam from Los, as Cons with the diffuser, and Pino on the opposite side of the second floor.
Oh,
moving through this, moving through this top position. Pino just glitches in the matrix, able to barrel on into the square position. Thankfully for NIP, a team that is often slow, as we say, minute 15 seconds in, they're already in open area. This is excellent time management.
Doing a bang-up job of that. But the key thing is that Los have some operators in the area to try and respond in kind. Mostly pertaining to Dash here. Focus on him as he is in E2 right now. He could quickly rotate out of this elevator and try and deal with things in open area, but Nip should at least have some consideration towards this space. You can see that Wizard is trying to hold things down from marble stairs as well via the rotation that's inside of this teller's area. Could have the answer here as Pino's gonna get lit up, but Dash is just gonna take his time. He doesn't want to try and over-deliver on this, and oh, very unlucky. It's gonna be the clone out of all things.
He still goes for the flank, though, and he finds a very real attacker outside of the teller's position. Loses his fight, though. Wizard able to recover. 50 seconds remaining, and NIP now just acquire that advantage. They've got all these hatches opened up, but Los' setup is one that prioritizes on-site denial. The Goyo canisters, the 3 smoke canisters still remaining for Dots, and the C4 from Cameraman as well. Giving up this control early on is fine, but can they waste enough time down below? That is what is going to decide whether or not NIP get their first attack on the board. Maya's able to cut down Wizard. Psycho's flashes do blind the Soulless, but there's too many angles to deal with. NIP retained their lead as Pino gets a big kill onto Loban. They're hollowing out the bomb site from indoors. Maya creeps up. It'll need to be an ace to clutch round number 2. As he spots one, he's put to 1 HP. He's got direct intel on Cons' position, but we're now in a post plant. Knows someone is behind the bomb chassis, but he's looking every which way, struggling to find the gunfire that advantages him the most. 1-1 between these two.
And that round really just up to Nit being able to handle the gunplay of Los. Unfortunate moment there for Dash, as I don't think that round could have went any more poorly for him when it looked like it was going to be so very successful. He ends up getting the Gemini clone. He rotates out to try and stop Wizard from getting control over the hatch, which, I mean, wasn't really going to be able to stop the X-Kairos, but the kill would have been nice, right? But all things considered, not able to pull things across the line in the way that he wanted to, and that allowed Ninjas in Pajamas to try and, as you said, hollow out the site, and it was a boring maneuver if I've ever seen one.
At the end of the day, if you have a late round execute, if you can just get those kills, you will be fine. You will be in a good position. Maya having a solid game so far, but only 2 rounds in. Plenty of time to either continue heating up or fall off at some point. On a CEO defense, though,
10 seconds left before
these
insertion.
guns need to be trained on the CEO window position. And it's often a direct take. No matter what ends up happening, if you're going from the windows, you're going to repel and try to plant the bomb. But if you're moving from the main stair side, you're going to be moving up that stairwell, holding angles outside the building, and the guy pushing up the stairs, it's always going to be a Monty.
Yes, indeed. Usually a ban that we would see here on Bank, honestly, but given the circumstances that this is 2 Brazilian teams, we knew that wasn't going to happen.
No, they just put Cons on it. He can play anything. He's been playing a lot of Monty in the tournament so far. He's comfortable on it.
Cons is that guy. You and I have been singing his praises this entire event,
We've
man.
not done some Cons hype up this phase 2 so far. We haven't really casted NIP. We haven't had the opportunity.
Yeah, I have a Cons tattoo on my left butt cheek. I just didn't tell you.
I've got like a little nightlight in my room, and it shines Cons' name on the ceiling. I look up at him every time I go to bed.
Can't sleep without it, can you?
No, I can't. I just feel less secure. And if you're NIP, you feel less secure if he's not having a good game. He's been one of the best performers for NIP so far this tournament. And his flexibility is impressive, but he often does find himself on these more soft support or hard support roles. And the Monty with the case, that's going to be his position on this bomb site. He's got to move to the top of main stairs and just try to make these defenders uncomfortable. Maya inside of Banana, Dash on Legion playing inside of Elevator. These are the 2 people that Cons will have to reconcile himself with.
Always a difficult moment when you're trying to deal with his Elevator position. Smokes out to try and ward off Dash for now. Some fire as well. And this hatch is reinforced, so Dash is just going to have to try and crawl into this corner as much as possible, and I'm pretty sure he's on the only 1-by-1 square foot in that elevator that is not on fire. Doesn't even take a lick of damage at all. Maya's gonna be the first one to go down, but Los have done a good job of being able to delay things out at a bare minimum.
But you do lose Maya, though, has been such a strong player for Los so far this tournament. And not getting any value out of his death, not trading him out whatsoever, and a bit of control that NIP wanted, or at least some pressure that they were concerned about, no longer a factor. That's important, but Monty rotating around to the lobby position with only 45 seconds left. Normally we see him crest the top of the spiral stairs well before this point. But Cons is only just now starting to walk up, and we've still got a guy Elevator. Pino will repel in. He's the man with the diffuser, as Cons gave it to the Thatcher to repel inside. This puts Pino in a risky position. If anybody from Los realizes it, if anybody from Los gets this kill, that's going to be big for the defense. Cons trying to take down this player inside of Banana, but Lobin shuts him down, finds the man with the case as well. The late round case rotation from NIP not paying off whatsoever. The setup over by Square is still very much intact, and Psycho trapped outside the building. Muzi, the only man actually inside of the map doing any work from NIP, and his reign is cut short before it can even begin.
Los with a very solid game plan of how to handle these rounds, but also a little bit of a miscalculation for those fire bolts inside the elevator, Carter, and that's really what gave them the most issue. They knew that that man was still existing in there, and that if they try to swing through that, they're gonna have to deal with that huge split that happens at the top of the stairwell. Monty's more than likely going to die from the person he's not looking at, and then you have to try and trade things out in a huge way. But I mean, how do you do that when really the only access point is coming up the staircase?
That's the downside with the CEO bomb site sometimes. two of the main takes are so linear, so entirely focused on just one part of the map instead of both. And for this take in particular, if you don't get control of that stairwell, even with a big pick from your main lobby repel player, what are you going to do? Loban also, I mean, just going big there. We've done a lot of, or I've sung the praises of Maya so far, but especially in that D plus Kia game, if Loban on that roam was successful, the team was successful. It just so happens that he was only successful for a couple of rounds, and D plus Kia were able to win 7-2, but he still has a big impact on this roster, and if he can frag out, if he can go big, Maya might be able to have a quiet game, because if Loban is showing up too, those are some of the big win conditions for Los.
Most definitely. Change up here for Ninjas in Pajamas. We're going to have the Ram in. We saw a pretty interesting process from EFAC, I believe, in Oregon, where he brought Ram strictly just for the door on Big Tower. So people starting to feel more and more comfortable. That's what I'm going to chalk that up to, on Ram, and using her utility for really anything. And also, just at the end of the day, she's got a solid gun, man. The R4C is not a slouch, even in modern day standards.
She is, but if you recall here, if you recall when NIP would use this Ram, it was actually Pino using her in the play-ins. And what happened? I genuinely can't believe it, but I think the same thing again. That boogie drone kept getting caught on the chair in office.
Did he get? Well, they got the one over in CEO.
They
but
did.
Oh, no, it did get caught on the chair. It's the one on the left.
Dude, like, come on, guys.
It's hilarious, too, because we saw somebody else, I can't remember what team it was, but they go for the same strategy, and they actually have a proper lineup, and it works.
Every time.
So you guys just didn't go back and check this. And also, the other thing is like, they've had to have scrimmed in the last couple of days. There's no way. There's no way. Oh my.
Two different Ram players mess up the same boogie drone. Listen, it's hard, right? Like, it's not easy. You're basically launching it through two windows and trying to land it, but every time NIP are on bank, it seems that boogie drone gets messed up, and it does deny them an important bit of control. They still have Pino, but they want to get that soft destruction safely without exposing Pino to C4s. So if you miss that boogie drone, you don't have full control of the teller's position. Thankfully, they've got the man advantage, and Muzi almost finds a second kill. So we can admonish the utility placement all we want, but NIP have done a solid job in this early round acquiring that 5v4. Now they just need to convert it.
I'm glad you said it, because that was exactly where I was going. That's been their biggest issue so far. It's like, yeah, Los has not been exactly getting some big sweeping frags or anything like that in these opening moments, but they've been doing a great job of delaying time. Pino, he'll be able to discover him. Dash, not quick enough to the trigger there, and we'll step right into the line of fire of Pino. But now this is starting to look like the most considerable effort that we've seen out of NIP past the round that they already garnered. And that one not doing too hot when it came to map control. They were just really able to take the fight to the main setup of Los and win out the gunfights in some pretty pivotal moments. So now with 30 seconds remaining, Ninjas in Pajamas only have one option, and it's try and battle this site.
They've got that 5v3, and as long as they have everyone inside of the site figured out, they should be okay. Of course, they need to be concerned about anybody playing immediately on the doorways. Cameraman, the Legion, big offender right now. Shutting down the cafe double entrance. NIP have the man advantage to play trades on this position, but Cameraman's so distracted by the rotate, he's caught gunned down. Cons picks him up, and while Maya's able to find one and even find two, NIP have still made enough progress in the bomb site. They just need to close out on 000. They've got Maya nailed down in front of the printer window, and finally, from the small office, NIP tie the game once again.
The Goo Mines were almost the MVP of that round once again. Unbeknownst to Maya, but the two people that were actively playing the game right there, Carter, were both bleeding damage over time, and there was a realm where they both just go down because they can't manage angles all that much longer. So insane day for our Legion mains out there, as they are just probably having the most amount of fun watching this character go off.
Goo Mines are so back.
They're the bane of my existence, dude. I'm so happy that Ubisoft made those things visible. When they were invisible, and first things first, when they were invisible and you could see them through walls, it was like, dude, this character does so much. Truly incredible what he can do in a round, but truly incredible what he did in that last round, all things considered. I especially love that in the, dying moments of the round, those last 30 seconds there, they're still willing to put drones in pivotal positions to make sure that flanks don't happen and things along those lines. All good sign for what's going on with this squad.
10 seconds to go.
So what shall we do? What shall we do from Los? Because here, we've got the same thing. We got the Solus, we got the Goyos on site, we got the Valkyries for the roam, the smokes. Los are so content to continue running this setup. But how will they thread that needle? Because NIP are just barely able to make it towards the line in that previous Locker's defense. And if they find someone on this roam here, if they're able to speed things up just a little bit with players like Muzi going into that execute with a man advantage, there's just so many small things that if they go Los's way or NIP's way, it could change the fortunes completely.
Most definitely. Like this change up here for Psycho, though. They're going to bring the Yana back in. We saw how impactful that Gemini clone was the last time, but Muzi, he's going to go down to Loben. It's been the constant consistency in this roam game that has been giving Ninjas in Pajamas so many issues. And yet again, we're going to have Dash back in that exact same position inside of E2 here, Carter. Ninjas in Pajamas should know about this because he was magically inside of lobby the last time, taking gunfights with Wizard.
He went for that flank before, and it didn't end up paying out, obviously. But even if it doesn't, what Los have right now is an excellent situation. They've taken down one of the top performers on NIP, but on a site setup that has a very loose roam with all the important utility concentrated on the site. No,
Whoa.
Don't worry. I felt my heart skip a beat for a little bit, but it's just the Yana clone from Psycho. But all of the utility from Los is concentrated on the bomb site, meant to waste time. And with the 5v4, and still even with intel on these attackers on the top floor, NIP have got to do something, whether it's destroy this utility in one fell swoop or get this advantage back. Either one has got to happen if they want a good shot at round 5.
Well, Los have got to be happy as a clam about this. All the info as to where big pressure from Ninjas in Pajamas is boiling over from Pino trying to find an answer to this other Goyo canister that's existing here. They haven't gotten it to pop just yet, and that'll be it right there. So they're going to have to, at a bare minimum, wait to 39 seconds to try and pressure in. But look who else they still have in their back pocket. It's going to be Dots with those smokes. I could definitely see a realm of possibility where Nip have to try and fly into this site and get some kills.
That seems to be what Cons is prepping for, whether the EMPs will be the saving grace of all this, maybe just meant to stop any C4s or thrown electronics. And another late round execute. It sometimes happens on bank. It frequently happens on bank, but as long as Los trade this man count down, they should be in the clear. Dots one smoke canister remaining. The first one missed. He anticipated the short push. He anticipated the diffuser going down on the reinforcement, but didn't count on just a normal default plant. Even though NIP are in a disadvantage, Cons has control of this hatch. If he can just make sure no one flanks through that doorway, while also making sure that no one can retake the top floor, NIP could very well win this, despite being down one player. Wizard, of course, is low HP. That's something you've got to consider. He'll need to be careful taking gunfights on this server stairs, as he's the main line of defense for these players on the middle floor. Cons picks up one, but Dots hits the retake, and Wizard goes down. Psycho's first pick could very well win him the round. No! Two might line up, but the third just barely escapes his vision. Los eke by on a late round defuse.
That would have been the most insane finish to a round I have ever watched if Psycho kills that man with the Gon 6 secondary.
Ridiculous.
That's the only thing that he had, Carter, that had ammo in it, and he had to shoot it at the tail end. He just didn't have the timing. And that's just insane out of Los. I especially love the answer from Dots there. That plant goes down, Los does not panic at all. They're like, okay, we know what this setup must look like post-plant. Ninjas in Pajamas has to maintain control of the small office hatch. And he rotates not to the mid-level, all the way upstairs instead, to try and take some really considerable shots in from that janitor closet. Just a great understanding of every move that the offense has to make in a situation like this.
Teller's Archives as Los guarantee themselves a 3-3 half. Just barely making it with that defuse. I'm sure somebody will be counting the seconds left that Psycho even had to react, let alone with what Los started. Their roam has been working pretty solid so far. NIP have been able to pierce through it just a couple times, but overall it's been far more consistent for the defense. And with these yokais, to find intel for these defenders off the bomb site as well, to influence play from Dots or to influence play from the Capcan. There's a lot of intel being invested by Los, or can be invested by Los for this defense. Thankfully with the Twitch, though, it can, of course, find those EDDs, but depending on where that yokai is, might be some drone-on-drone warfare. If Psycho can hunt down some of those yokais that are, of course, visible and deny that key piece of utility.
So crazy, because we kind of have a war underneath a war right now, right? The drones here, you have the yokais as well as the Twitches, but you also have the pests lying around for Mozzie too that could rob a couple of these drones away, including the Twitch drones. Cameraman, I do believe he still has these discs, or rather, his drones. So to return back to that a little bit later on. Do still have some EDDs around here as well. So we are going to have some pretty considerable efforts on the top floor. Dots rather has been droned out quite a bit when it comes to this position. But as of right now, nothing really boiling over from Ninjas in Pajamas as they're lining things up to clear this top floor.
Ponza spotted Dots and will force him down the hatch. Solis doesn't need to stare at Monty for an extended period of time. Wizards have been very good.
What? That last bullet, it hit Loban right in the head. A round that I didn't even consider would even be in the realm of possibility of striking his opponent. And he's still gonna take up Dots with the pistol. Wizard, you savage. Just maintaining these angles as long as humanly possible. They're gonna take Maya too. And Ninjas in Pajamas look to tie things up here on Bank.
I was about to compliment Wizard 2 for his play on the rappel so far. And then he makes a play that speaks for itself. Hammerman now with the unfortunate task of trying to fight Wizard on this position, and he's effectively trapped inside of the elevator. Unless he can somehow make it down a hatch or a staircase before NIP can react, his shield goes down. You can see the realization setting in for Cameraman at the task he's unfortunately left with. Wizard with such big play so far in round 6. Cameraman needs to win this fight if he wants to escape. Knows he's there, spots him, but no bullet lands! Not a single bit of HP taken off Wizard, and while he escapes the side of the ace, he walks right into the clutches of Muzi. Dots accepts his fate with open arms. It's an even half for NIP.
All up to Wizard on that one. Insane stuff on the lobby window rappel, and something that they desperately needed. As you said, Ninjas in Pajamas needs a catalyst, and that catalyst is energy, Carter. They need these big plays. Now, if anybody's been playing Baldur's Gate 3 recently, it's like giving that magical guy a bunch of... I got him out of my party as quickly as I could, dude. I was like, what? Leave. I'm not giving you magical items. The point, ridiculous. Anyways, the point of it being, obviously, that Ninjas in Pajamas is fueled off of the energy of big moments like this.
If you don't know, there's a magician named Gale. You defeat him magical artifacts, or else he destroys the world. It's a big part of the game.
Does he actually destroy the world? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Guys, I might have screwed up my playthrough. We'll find out when I get home. Either way, though, pertaining to this matchup, Ninjas in Pajamas, they're getting plenty of material, so they don't have to worry about that. The only thing that they're going to destroy is possibly Los.
Possibly, but we have someone to talk to. We've got, I believe, a weatherman on the line. A report from the station. Beep, 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 beep. Jesse.
Yes, Lynx, tuning in. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the operators in this matchup. We've seen NIP play this map already twice throughout the major, against GK and against Crest, and they had a 100% pick rate of Mira on every single bomb site except for the basement. They love rocking the Mira. Typically, they bring this Mira alongside a Twitch ban, which is going to obviously protect those Miras a little bit. They don't have to worry about the shock drones popping the windows. Now that we've seen the side swap, now that we have NIP moving on to the defense, it'll be really interesting to watch whether or not NIP continue to bring the Mira even with Twitch up on the board, and where they choose to play those Miras. The most popular spots that they played, especially on that top floor, which had the highest win rate, was looking from long desk towards the main stairs in the stockroom, and then of course just the standard janitor meeting looking into the CEO bomb site. So just something to watch out for. Keep your eye open. I know we don't see it yet in this round, but on the other bomb sites, if we see a Mira, keep note of that for NIP.
Let you go. We got a forecast coming in. Do you think, Jesse, that NIP might take this round?
Lynx, they're already not bringing the Mira, so that means they might be changing things up. It might be catching Los off guard, and ooh, not a good start though.
Well, thank you for the forecast, Mr. Weatherman. Jesse, it appears, though, that your prediction might be incorrect.
Seems like there might be a cold front moving in for Ninjas in Pajamas. We'll update you at 6 p.m. Khan's down. Pino and the rest of the gang. Pino! Holy crap! He'll take down 2 with a single mag of the SMG-11. You don't see that every day, Carter.
Some people are just built a little differently, everyone. And Pino,
alternatively,
with the SMG-11, he's a little good with that weapon.
Talented, I'd say.
And also ends up vindicating Jesse, because even though NIP did not catch Los off guard with Khan's play, well, what Pino had in store, I doubt Los were expecting it. He's also still alive with the Specchio scanner to hunt down these drones held by Los. Dots put down to 1 HP. The Twitch, the operator we highlighted, well, it's not the utility that's really been doing the talking. It's not really much that's been doing the talking, and she'll be silent for the rest of this execute. 2v2, though, and Maya working himself into a key position as Cameraman is extended with that Monty. There's only 1 gun on the board for Los, but Maya has control of Garage. He can cut this bomb site in half, but Pino dismantles him, dispatches him on that doorway, and they can just tag down Cameraman, force him off the diffuser, and give Pino the 4K that he deserves in round 7.
That was disgusting out of Pino. The SMG-11 just goes to show you how good that gun is in the proper hands. When you try it out the first couple of times, it's like, oh, this recoil is a little weird, but right when you get that under your belt, truly one of the most amazing weapons in this entire game, and on full display there once again. So Ninjas in Pajamas will take the lead for the very first time here, actually, on Bank, 4-3, with their very first successful defense of the basement site. They will now don the top floor, look towards CEO to try and continue their warpath.
We've already seen the Monty from Cameraman on the basement site as well. We'll likely see it moving into the second floor since it's such a common site. But Jesse, if you could hear me, he's not at the Weatherman anymore. We fired him. But Jesse, we have a Mira and the Twitch is on the board. We know NIP have settled on the Mira, but will Los bring that Twitch? It seems that they will. It would be a little bit of a mishap if they let those mirrors stay in position, don't end up finding or using a shock drone to destroy them. But maybe Muzi was hiding them a little bit. He hasn't placed either of them yet. Los still thankfully react.
Honestly, not the worst thing in the world. I'm personally, this is a personal gripe, against putting mirrors up too early inside of prep phase because everybody has so many tasks to do, Carter, that people can't really manage them. And if a Twitch drone slips in through the cracks and you lose your mirror during prep phase, that's one of the worst feelings in the world because now you have a huge gap, not even a metaphorical gap, an actual gap in your
Literal
defense.
hole in the wall. Literally, you just destroy the Mira? All right, that's rude. Just a hole in the wall, as you said. But Muzi has them both. He's just got to now be worried about these shock drones as we are into the action phase. For a CEO defense with that Monty, if he were up, wouldn't be as big of a problem for Los as they'd be pushing the spiral side, but they moved away from the Monty take. Not like what I predicted. But that means they'll likely focus more on the backside where those mirror windows are and where that deployable shield from stock is facing. There's a lot of utility from NIP, holding the backside, whether it be square or stock, but also making sure that nobody can rappel into CEO and open things up. That's a nice find from Dash. First mirror window opened up, and that was overlooking the marble stairs too.
Selma's making a lot of noise, but he's going to try and make a play off of anything. It'll be cool, calm, and collected for the rest of these two squads. Try and work their way through this one. They have Dash here on the north windows, as he'll try and baby these angles with that 417, and quite a dastardly weapon when it comes down to angle holding, something to deal considerable damage if somebody wants to try and step up to the plate. Maya's going to end up breaching open a portion of the site, making things a little bit easier for them to try and push themselves forward later on down the line, but they still need to build up the man control in this area to try and assist Dots in getting this case down. Oh, what a bind on the Muzi. Literally slipping it through the cracks of the two soft walls, and one they actually softened up, as this was a hard wall until a little while ago. Khan's taking a lot of damage as well, and they'll actually be able to get Muzi back up.
Well, not for long, as Loban still just holding that angle, is able to find one. A nice find from Cameraman, too, as so many NIP defenders lined up inside of Electrical. It's easy pickings for the attack. Everyone's so consolidated inside of a small room in CEO. Is the easiest frag fest for Los to come out of.
Yeah, so consolidated and also so concerned with what was going on in CEO, right? Every single one of the NIP players, their sole vision, their sole purpose, trying to kill Cameraman, I believe, in behind the CEO table, getting that case down, but nobody having the angle. The key thing there was Los's ability to deal with that mirror window inside of Janitors. They're able to break open that left-hand panel after they obviously breach open the right and start to apply pressure through the gunplay of the walls right here. If this doesn't happen, if Muzi doesn't go down, this round more than likely goes a completely different way.
Excellent work from Loban. Loban and Maya, of course, the big performers so far, 8-6, 9-6, respectively. I mean, I'm respectful about it. I'm giving them the credit that they deserve.
Respectfully respectful.
I'd say so. Honestly, hold up. I got a bone to pick with the English language. Why is it respectively for that?
I don't know.
It seems like,
language in general is weird, Carter. If you want to get like down the line, you realize we're just making random noises with our mouth, and we all.
I don't want to get too existential with it. I was trying to keep it within the confines of the reality we experience. I just you know what? You've opened the floodgates. I'm not even gonna go there anymore.
I was broke like 14-year-olds' minds.
I was
right
just
there.
trying to have fun with etymology, and you've completely thrown it out the window. Open area defense right now. Open area where you're going to hold the CEO position. You're going to have someone outside of stock if you want, but the core players for this defense are Muzi upstairs in Electrical, Pino playing around the banana position. Get out of the third player. They've got Psycho behind the stock shield, so a huge concentrated hold of this second floor position, but we'll have to see if Los decide to buy into it.
See, back to language. Why do we not just call it curve instead of banana? We have to call it a fruit, huh?
Banana's curved.
They are, but you could just call it curve. And it's even shorter of a word than banana.
Banana's better because curve pops more on the mic on broadcast, so I think we stick with the banana call.
You got me there. Oh, and a little bit of a goo mine getting Maya as well. Is Los doing their best to try and wrap things in here from the electrical room. Since it is open area, more than likely also considering how they get some top floor control. And with about a minute and a half gone here and a logic bomb out, that dictates something's happening for the offense, although not really happening to Cons right now. 3 people directly outside of Cameraman, but past that, it's been a slow broil so far. Oh.
There we go. Able to find one. I was about to say, you talk about finding something, but there were just 3 attackers sitting outside the janitor position. And there, a nice little find for Cons there. But it's trades all around. But Los lose the Monty that was supposed to be the op to move forward into Cathay. So the plant they wanted and the one they envisioned, a little bit more difficult now. The 3 defenders remaining were all the ones on the top floor, and they've moved down below to retake the middle. Loban has intel on this player playing close on the circle desk door. He slowly creeps up. He knows he's here. He's aiming at the right position. It's so easy to pick up. He barely even worried about it. Complete stoic as he takes that gunfight, but there's still angles to worry about, specifically Muzi on this top floor position. If Dash walks in, if Dash and Loban walk in, and they turn their backs, Muzi can easily deal with them. He's put to 1 HP. He's got to retreat. Los have kept him at bay for now.
Huge moment here now for the A's. The plant now starting to go down in kitchen. Psycho has to win this engagement, but he can't get it done. Loban on the triple now. Muzi will be able to get one of his own, but he's on such low HP. It's going to require the headshot more than likely here, Carter. He's going to try and wrap around over towards the mirror window as he's basically got control of the actual case, but he just has to defuse it. That's the biggest issue.
He'll drop, ducks below the AK-12 spray. Loban's so focused on opening up an angle, should be able to find him. Can he land the headshot? Yes, he will. Loban opens the round right back up. And NIP are the ones on the back foot on the side swap.
Love the brain on Loben right there. Those Selma charges are so unbelievably loud. Like, you can slap a Selma down and go for a full jog through the map.
It's that long hiss.
Exactly. Nobody really knows what's going on. And as we've touched on in earlier games, you're already on LAN where everybody's using in-ears, and audio is already pretty difficult in Siege. So the Selma makes it to where things are even more, just difficult to try and figure out what's going on around you with your ears. So, with that being said, Los will be able to take the lead back and try to see if they can be the first ones to reach penultimate point.
Los in such a good spot right now, up 5-4, but the ones constantly taking this lead, or at least fighting back in these past 2 rounds. Taking CO at such a dominant margin, and now winning the open area defense to win at 5-4. If they win the 3 bomb sites in a row, they'll move to match point, but more importantly, back when these 2 teams met, it was not a particularly close game. It was not a particularly close stage for Los up until the LCQ. Nothing was going their way whatsoever, losing to teams left and right. But now at the major, 1-1, when so much has been questioned about Los's performance, if they can send NIP to the lower bracket, they might not end up being promoted. They might make it 2-1 and still lose, but NIP will be back on elimination series where they found themselves in plans that none of us expected they'd be in, where they needed to fight tooth and nail against Crest to even stay here. If Los can just win 2 more attacks at any point in regulation, NIP will be back on the brink of elimination.
And honestly, all things considered for both of these squads, everybody's showing up. Yeah, Loben and Meyer are kind of top-heavy when it comes to Los, but all of these players finding their moment, making it matter. Maya's going to get back onto their drones earlier here. Let's see what they can get done with Brava. Rob a few things away from the defense. And looking at it, it's really just the laser gates that they're going to be able to deal with. Yeah, you can try and get down low and get rid of the electro claws, but he's more than likely going to try and deal with these laser gates that are set up over the top of these hatches.
This is also a known strat from NIP. They've run it plenty of times throughout the play-in stage when they played Bank, so Los just throw down the clutch drone and use all 3 of those charges to hack the Aruna gates, and now they're no longer a problem. Of course, you have to worry about the Electro Claws, and it still wastes some utility and some time, thanks to the setup provided by NIP. But it's not like they're catching Los off guard. The only thing that still might trip them up, whether they know about it or not, is Psycho inside of server on the Clash. Again, is it known? Of course. But Clash is always a little difficult of an operator to coordinate around, and Los are so focused on clearing these hatches right now that as Loben throws, or Wizard, excuse me, throws up the Electro Claw, will it land? No, the X-Kairos open up the hatch safely, but Los only a minute to try and convert onto the bomb site.
I mean, more interesting in this is the fact that Cameraman has burned through all of his X-Kairos, and they weren't even capable of getting the other hatch open. Nobody hears him. Again, we see the audio plays. Pino, somehow, some way, more than capable of dealing with the situation, and he's also got an M590 in hand. Not something you want to swing into on blue stairs, not something you want to try and deal with in the slightest. With 30 seconds remaining, Los with an insane effort, especially out of Loben when it comes to server, but Ninjas in Pajamas, so much to be had in this round.
Maya just barely claws it back. Pino, the big performer on server stairs, whittled down by Dash. Los now have the advantage, and despite the hectic execute, Maya's able to cross. That's all he needed to walk in just on the doorway to the bomb site and put it down, but they need to cover. The impact grenade goes out. It takes down the diffuser. Muzi just needs to run away. Dash has got no time to counter as he commits to the defuse. NIP stave off match point for just a little bit longer.
Ninjas in Pajamas tie things up again. What a find there from Loben, but an immediate volley back from Ninjas in Pajamas. Pino in those blue stairs in that moment. He reached full capacity. Was capable of taking down what seemed to be the entire offense if they were willing to give it to him. But finally, they slow things up. Los tries to readdress the situation. They get it down into the 2 versus 2. Make it the 1 versus 2. The great utility management out of Ninjas in Pajamas. Find an application for those impact drones, and what an impact they made.
And in hindsight, you think, oh, if he had only just planted a little bit further in the doorway, because if you don't know the secondary utility, this is an okay position, and even if he's full HP, it might maybe just do enough damage to make him one shot. But it's this particular set of circumstances that always happen in a best of one sometimes that will make Los concerned whether or not they can close this out, because all of these executes, even in the flawless round, came down to gunfights and everyone from Los flooding into the bomb site. That's always going to be a risky strategy. We've talked about it plenty of times today through all of these matches as a running theme. Late round executes are inherently risky. And when you lose a big moment like that, and the big play from Lobin doesn't end up paying off, that's where the more experienced team, and in this case NIP, might just have a shot to claw the game back.
Nice little moment here from Dash as he'll start setting things up on the top floor with those boogie drones. Let's see if we have to give Dash any trash about this, guys, because obviously we did it to Nip, so all's fair in love and war, right? See what happens here. Muzi is going to find out that there's some very impactful flooring missing here as he opens things up with that mirror window. Pino also very intelligently will wait things out here inside of the central office and see if Dash is going to apply that secondary boogie drone. So thinking very far ahead of how this strategy could work.
Twitch drone right in front of the mirror window. Psyker able to find that one pretty quickly. Dokkaebi call goes out. Dash now using all of his boogie drones. Smoke canister goes out too to block the mirror window. Might be an entry from somebody on Los to follow up. Indeed, it's Maya vaulting into the stock window, opening up the hatch directly to open area. He just drops down, but he's immediately shot by Cons, who's more than ready for a quick heads-up play from Los. Now he knows that player's outside the printer window, but thankfully cameraman rotates in time. He loses a lot of his HP, but he's made it inside the building. Razor Bloom, he just barely makes it away, but nobody takes the lead. And in fact, Los might just have an edge. Wizard on 1 HP. The HP is favoring the attack. The C4 goes out. They can't dodge it. NIP playing for the retake right now. They've trapped Los inside of the bomb site. Dots now peeks up, sees the player beepers. Just no one can get ahead in round 11. But somebody's got to get match point. Dash waiting for the angle. He gets smoked off it by Muzi, and now Dots has to fall off the diffuser. He knows someone is in small office, and he knows someone's by cafe, but exact intel, that's what's evading him. Just general knowledge. Instead, that's favoring NIP. They've got a Z-ping on his exact location. They've got his whole quadrant mapped out. And as Muzi peeks up, it's match point for NIP.
Ninjas in pajamas moving like Oppenheimer on the retake, man. They blow up the entire thing as there's not a single chance for Los to try and battle back at all. And some honestly serious considerations towards that round. The biggest issue was they could not find a safe haven to plant where somebody didn't just magically die out of nowhere. Ninjas in pajamas slapped the brakes off Los in their own site, and they'll proc the timeout too just to make sure that they know full good and well what the hell is happening in this next round.
Now don't let it go off the rails.
That's the key thing, right? Easier said than done, though.
It is, especially in a game where Lobit and Maya on Los. Lobit, actually, more so than Maya, because Maya's had some good numbers. But when it comes to forcing man disadvantages in super hectic executes, Lobit's been the guy to do it. He has been the man to find that path through the bomb site that gets those big multi-kills, especially in the back half attacking rounds for this position for Los. So if you're NIP, and you know that's still a risk, because think of that execute. Even though Cons shut it down, Los were able to trade it down to a 2v2. They still very well could have won that round if a couple small things go their way. If you're NIP, you want to say, all right, this has been a game of small moments in very, very hectic positions. If we can keep control of it, if we can keep our heads calm, this is a 7-5.
Most definitely. Well, that's if Los doesn't have anything to say about this round. It's going to be a difficult one, especially because Ninjas in Pajamas are able to play upstairs. It's not like they have to go off into the ether and try and find something. But, I mean, a lot of these defensive sites now on bank, very defensible, especially with some more aggressive tendencies coming out from the defense. Some big picks could change the fate of the future of this series right here and right now. Ninjas in Pajamas only need one more successful defensive round. Obviously take max regulation, but it will be a regulation victory.
That's the end of the day what matters. If you're up 2-1 in the Swiss, if you're in a best of one to make main stage, you don't really care how much you won your previous series. Maybe it matters in some of the minuscule stuff, you know, for the eggheads, the seeding, all that. For this team, it doesn't matter. All you gotta know is, are we gonna make it into playoffs, or are we at risk of going home? And that's where NIP are. Just one round, and they could make main stage, make top 8, just like they did in Copenhagen when many were unsure what this new face of NIP this year in 2023 could offer. That is what they are looking to reclaim, and all they need to do is win a CEO defense, something that Los, even though it was a flawless round, needed to basically cause chaos for everyone, all 10 players in the lobby to win.
Oh, Loben. Count your lucky stars, because Muzi doesn't miss those often.
Sensor on.
Almost peeled his head top back, but don't keep that for now. Save the scalping for later. Also Ninjas in pajamas. Back and forth they went on this carousel. What an insane ride it's been thus far, but it eventually has to come to an end, and it could be in this round. Maya's got some considerable effort built up over towards the ATM windows. This will be holding a nice angle towards Checkers, breaking up all of those windows, and also getting rid of one, or actually, it's going to be Dash, sending a couple of arrows in there, trying to flame out that position. But Pino's going to immediately crawl back in. Do not trust Dash's head-up display right there, folks, because it's the only fire that we have available in this entire lineup.
Bomb located by attackers.
I love Pino's insistence, as risky as it is. 12-8, the standout player for NIP alongside Muzi in this matchup. He knows, as it's worked down to a minute remaining, that denying some control, if it amounts to 5 seconds out of 60, that could make the difference. Cameraman still droning. Finds Muzi down below. Down to 5 drones for Los. At a minute left, that's quite a lot of potential information. But the control, that's what's lacking. Takes all EMPs from Loben to work, and the impact grenade from Khans, still very much a factor. But Maya recognizes the situation. He immediately vaults in, forces the Wamai off that shield, and might just take the engagement afterwards. And yes, he will. Psycho cut down as the first kill. Again, Los just flood into the bomb site and somehow win every gunfight that goes their way. Wizard tags up one, but can't secure another kill. Los have brought us to our first OT game of the day.
What an insane move there from Maya. He knew that impact was going to come out. So what does he do? He exploits the timing, Carter. Perfect moment for him to try and move in and get a gunfight up against that player. And it also allows Los to start looking towards other things around that top floor. They work their way in and start causing major errors to Ninjas in Pajamas setup. And eventually it all boils down to just that player inside of Checkers, which they dispatch in kind. Overtime now. We will not be switching sides just yet, folks, but it is 6-6. We have a bare minimum 2 rounds ahead of us. Let's see if Ninjas in Pajamas can find some success on their basement defense.
They can find success with this clash. If they can find success with the strategy, the overall strategy they've been running so far, prioritizing the on-site utility while putting Pino on server stairs in a position for him to go huge. But if you're Los as well, I mean, you're moving into overtime. Maya, Loben, great, but the rest of the team, I think it's time we start focusing on that as well, because everyone else is at least -3 or -4 up until this point. Who is opening up these rounds from Los? Sure, there's intel being gathered by the supports, by players like Cameraman, but when it comes to actually shooting the opponents, something so important, I think, in a first-person shooter, it's been Maya and Loben doing all of the work for Los, the ones that have got them so far to overtime when it comes to the actual play in the server. And the coordination from Los overall, I mean, it's fine. It's certainly getting the job done. But NIP might just have the edge when it comes to strategy and denial. But if Loben and Maya can just keep shooting, keep that edge, Los still have a chance.
Ambient noise of the drones rolling around the map. We all know it too well, don't we, Carter? They're trying their best to try and find a couple of these Ninjas in Pajamas players out of position, or maybe trying to go for more of an extended roam, but not this time around. We've seen it before, Los especially, if you remember Dots playing that position with Valkyrie over inside of E2 here, where Maya just was. But nobody for Nep. They go for the turtle strategy instead, a fan favorite when it comes to this basement site.
Definitely like that minimal control for some teams, but you need to hold on to the server stairs as a result, and it likely has to result in some kills as well, because you're giving up so much of that middle floor control and giving control of this small office hatch, for example, to the attack. If they go for a server-sided take, that stairs needs to work. Lobin with a big kill, taking down Pino. He got 2 kills by himself with that shotgun on server stairs. Now he's taken down with no recourse from NIP to trade.
Big issue too now is that being gone, they have to try and find an answer for this server position. Psycho is going to try and maintain this for some time, but they have a lot of really good answers to this, Carter. They've got fire bolts, they still have frag grenades too. Cameraman's gonna open up the gates here. And there is a minute remaining, so they've burnt some time, but now they're burning Psycho to a pulp here, as he's going to more than likely die in this position. They'll make him into barbecue here. We'll see how far they can get down the line now as Khan's trying to adopt in some angles, but this is going to require a plant still out of Los.
It will, and Dot's put down to 1 HP. They still have these long angles. Khan's in particular from Garage. Despite the low HP, that DMR hits like a truck. If he can just hit the man with the diffuser a couple times, it might be over. That's why Dash's kill right there is so important. That's why Dash's 3K might just get Los match point. Wizard pushes up. No C4 to deal with. He's got to pick up one of these players rotating out, but Maya's got him figured out as he walks out of Red Hall. Match point for Los, 1 round away from the promotion series. What are you giggling about?
Well, it's a good thing that it was his keyboard hand. Oh, he punched the hell out of his hand. That's what I was giggling about. Because he did it, then he was like, oh my God, I am so sorry. Just immediately, this is like, dude, my bad. I was so excited about that round. And I mean, why wouldn't you be, dude? You were up on none other than ninjas in pajamas. You could send them to the lowest portion of this bracket. Fantastic stuff here from Los, as they're looking to make NIP 1-1.
Both teams actually taking timeouts on
their
own match point. I had to check real quick. So I was like, there's no way both teams because NIP took a timeout when they went up to 6-5. Los have now taken a timeout when they up to 7-6. I was like, all right, I just got to make sure that there wasn't an error. So, but no, Los have taken a timeout on their own match point again, just to make sure, just like NIP wanted to, that they'll be able to close out round 12. But for NIP, that didn't end up working out despite the pause, despite taking the proper precautions to ensure they just close out the game in regulation. We all know it didn't end there. It did go to overtime. And Los are hoping that they can have success where NIP did not in a similar position.
Also try and pick up where they left off on their defensive side, which was pretty successful, all things considered, right? Their basement setup was definitely a highlight reel in that moment, as they were able to delay Ninjas in Pajamas on the roam and convert that into some solid utility usage that made it really difficult to try and put a plant down. In this situation, they are going to have the Monty back in play. That's going to be on Psycho, but we're really looking to Pino and Muzi to try and open the floodgates for Ninjas in Pajamas to maintain their life inside of Bank.
Pino Muzi definitely, but also make sure that NIP don't fall victim to the utility setup from Los. With how much time they've been able to waste in previous rounds, it's a constant threat, because NIP before, they baited out the hatch drop. Instead, they telegraphed, oh yeah, we're gonna plant the bomb on that reinforcement. Make sure you smoke there, make sure you put all your toxic canisters there. Then they just ended up going for a default server plant. That misdirection cost Los the round and got it for NIP. But at the end of the day, the utility's still a threat. Whether you do go server or you do plant on that single panel, if Los know where you're planting, that utility is so lethal, especially with this Monty, how slow he can be. If you telegraph where you're planting too much, you've got C4s, impacts, and smokes that can all be lined up on your position.
It's all going to be about timing here, Carter. They have got to get this map clear, and they have to start focusing downstairs as soon as humanly possible. And that's why Los is playing in the way that they are. You see the people strung along this entire setup here. Maya actually in what could be a terrible position if he is indeed droned out. They have somebody up top in Squad. where he's going to get droned. And that's all she wrote, folks. Muzi with the pickup on Maya. And of all the players to go down, not exactly one that sits at the top of the list.
No, it's not the utility you're worried about. It's just that Maya and Lobin have been such a fearsome duo throughout this entire map. Losing him is always the worry. But again, that setup, it doesn't necessarily need individual performance. If NIP just take too long, losing Maya won't even matter that much for Los.
Yep.
There's still the C4s. The Vulcan packs have already been placed. It's really Dot's the main anchor that if you lose, that's when things really start getting worrisome.
Most definitely. That smoke utility has always been so valuable, but with everything built up around him, it makes it to where this entire strategy rests upon the precipice of good utility usage. Going 6 out for Pinos, he'll try and clear some things out, maybe do some splash damage as well in a kind of a backwards way there, but either way, it's working for him, it's working for us. As of right now, Ninjas and Pajamas do need to start hightailing it towards the site. You can see all hands on deck over towards the square side of things. Nitro Cell out, and this actually might be a dead Hibana here in a moment. Oh, very close, all things considered. You got Collins on one side, Hibana on the other. Ninjas and Pajamas counting their lucky stars that nobody ended up dead on that.
With that C4 used, Cameraman's the only one who's got a C4 for the post plant. So these smokes and that C4, no matter what it is, something needs to land. Could be shots from Dash, all things considered. The red hall position a little bit more flexible now that the coverage is taken down. The first smoke lands.
Smokes.
Psycho falling off. He's got 20 seconds of denial in pocket, and if these keep landing, they'll shut NIP out of the round. Just one more from Dots. Psycho's got to push forward. 1 HP. Lobin's starting to fight back, but NIP have the advantage. They start to push up, but Psycho's down on the floor. There's no time for recovery from NIP, and the king of Brazilian upsets. Los move to the promotion series, and NIP fighting for their life the second time in Atlanta.
So much energy out of